there at the network. And we are live across America on this radio station or cable system and around the world at crntalk.com. So many ways to get us. Today's guest, Lowell Ponte, Newsmax columnist, co-author with Craig R. Smith of Don't Bank on It, also author of The Cooling. And we're going to look at his Newsmax? Yes, Newsmax article, The Next Tax. In the second hour, J.B. Williams, founder of Patriots Union, writer for News with Views, and his latest, Ignorant American Voters, Now the Greatest Threat to America. In the news, responding to a report filed by Judicial Watch of ISS activity along the Mexican border, FBI supervisors called a special meeting at the U.S. consulate in Juarez. High-level intelligence source confirmed that the meeting was convened specifically to address a press strategy to deny accurate reporting and identify who is providing information on the issue. FBI supervisory personnel met with Mexican Army officers and Mexican federal police officials, according to the source. The FBI liaison officers regularly assigned to Mexico were not present at the meeting, and conspicuously absent were representatives from the Department of Homeland Security. It's not clear why DHS did not participate. Publicly, U.S. and Mexico have denied that Islamic terrorists are operating in the southern border region. But the rapid deployment of FBI brass in the aftermath of the report seems to indicate otherwise. A Mexican Army field-grade officer and a Mexican federal police inspector were among the sources that confirmed that ISA is operating a camp just a few miles from El Paso, Texas. The base is around 8 miles from the U.S. border, just west of Juarez in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. Another ISS cell in Puerto Palomas targets towns in New Mexico, USA. The House voted yesterday to repeal the federal tax on estates, a politically volatile issue that affects few inheritance. Republicans refer to it as the death tax. They say it prevents small business owners and family farmers from passing businesses to their heirs. Quote, "Can you imagine working your whole life to build up a family-owned business, and then upon your death, Uncle Sam swoops in and takes nearly half of what you spent a lifetime building up for your children, for your grandchildren?" asked Representative Brady, Republican from Texas, who sponsors the bill. It's hard. It's an immoral tax, he said. Democrats say repealing the tax is giving a giveaway to the rich, since the only families that pay to have it millions in assets. The bill now goes to the Senate, where Democrats appear to have enough votes to block it. Well, you know how this administration is not the most transparent, like they said they were going to be. Let's think about Hillary. Iowans had their cell phones and cameras confiscated before going to meet the Democratic presidential frontrunner Hillary Rodham Clinton. Yesterday, Clinton's motorcade left Spring Hill Suites for Main Street Cafe, where she met privately with party leaders for about an hour and a half. County Democratic Chairwoman Linda Nelson said the meeting was so private that everyone invited was asked to hand over their cell phones and cameras before they were allowed to take part. Now, the Clinton campaign has been trying to control Hillary's campaign events as much as possible. And taking the cell phones and cameras of possible voters, however, is usually reserved for high-level national security events. Hillary, not campaign stops. Worried about what you're going to say? Worried about losing your temper, Hillary, in public? Thursday, former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley criticized Hillary for her late evolution on gay marriage and driver's license for illegal aliens. Clinton's team this week said she believes gay marriage is a constitutional right and illegal immigrants should receive driver's license. Flip-flop, when she ran for president in 2008, she opposed gay marriage and she opposed driver's license for illegal aliens. Changed her mind again, right? checking out how many votes do I get on this side. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee moving toward announcing his second bid for president tonight, claiming that he will be better funded than in his 2008 run, and that he stands out as the most experienced of the nearly 20 candidates considering a bid. Quote, I think there's a real challenge today in the dysfunctional environment of a government as it is in Washington, and clearly one of the reasons that I'm considering, contemplating, and moving toward a decision. Huckabee said he will announce his plans either to run or when he will officially announce on Fox, where he had a TV show for years. He said he will reveal the news on Special Report with Brett Baier, the highly acclaimed NewsHour. President Obama's executive actions on immigration will be tested today when a federal appeals court considers whether to lift a block order of the actions to allow millions of immigrants without legal status to remain in the United States. Lawyers from the federal government and 26 states oppose Obama's immigration policies will make oral arguments in front of a three-judge panel from the Fifth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals in New Orleans. A U.S. Marine in prison in Iran, they say, is a victim of torture and cruelty. The family of a U.S. Marine imprisoned in Iran for nearly 4 years says the American has been drugged, whipped, and told a heartbreaking lie that his mother died in a car accident while he awaits a retrial. The sister and brother-in-law of Amir Hamati described in chilling detail the torture that the veteran has endured since his arrest, August 2011, including stun gun assaults, whippings, lithium dosing, and being hung by his arms in manacles. New Media Journal had a comment that this Marine is still in captivity while a deserting traitor like Bo Bergdahl goes free, and especially when 5 al-Qaeda major generals were traded for him, is a slap in the face to everyone who wears a U.S. military uniform. Well, the Air Force has confirmed this week that it's shuttering a vital airlift wing at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, that trains the Army Airborne and Special Operations Forces, prompting a lot of outrage from state lawmakers, by the way. Now, the Air Force finally submitted on Tuesday its report on the C-130 force structure to Congress after its release had been delayed since January. Units such as the 440th Airlift Wing at Fort Bragg's Pope Army Airfield fly the C-130s to prepare airborne forces for emergency operations. The report affirmed that the Air Force would close the 440th, which it said would save $116 million during a time of severe budget constraints for the military. And lawmakers raised concern last year when the Air Force began transferring airmen from the reserve unit before even reporting to Congress. So they're going to close down the 440th Wing that does all this training, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and they're going to save $116 million. I was looking at this and I thought, they're going to save $116 million. Isn't that about 1/3 of President Obama's trip on Air Force One? Yeah. Walmart, you've heard, probably, suddenly closed 5 stores, 4 states, Monday. Alleged plumbing problems. The closures, they say, could last 6 months and affect roughly 2,200 workers in Texas, California, Oklahoma, and Florida. Now, Walmart employees say they were completely blindsided by the news, having been notified only a couple hours before those stores closed 7 p.m. Monday. Quote, everybody just panicked and started crying. Vanessa Luna, she's a store manager at a store in Pico Rivera, California. All workers will receive paid leave for 2 months. After that, full-time workers could become eligible for severance, according to CNN Money. But part-time workers, they're going to be on their own. Local officials and employees have questioned Walmart's reasoning for these closures. And according to ABC News, quote, no plumbing permits have been pulled in any of the 5 cities where the stores were suddenly closed for at least 6 months. The cities where locations were closed include Brandon, Florida, Pico Rivera, California, Livingston, Texas, Midland, Texas, and Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, a city official at Pico Rivera confirmed to CBS Los Angeles that the city has not received any permit requests for building repairs. In Midland, Texas, where another store was closed, the city official told ABC News that his plumbing inspector was turned away when he visited the store and offered to help secure construction permits. Walmart plumbing technician Cody Bauer, she worked at the now shuttered store in Brandon, Florida, questioned the company's time frames for the repairs. She said even if they had to replace the whole sewer line, it wouldn't take 6 months to replace. They reached out for Walmart for comment, said, well, we'll get back to you. Walmart spokesman said the company had not secured permits because we have yet to know the full extent of the work that needs to be done, may have to do additional upgrades. But then we get to the bottom line, the rest of the story, so to speak. Some employees believe these stores were closed because the workers protested for higher pay. Now, employees of the Pico Rivera, California store were among the first to hold the Black Friday protest back in 2012. This is the first store that went on strike, an employee said. This is the first store in demanding changes for Walmart. And now they got plumbing problems. Wow. Well, that's not really a fish fillet with a whole wheat bun resting on top. They say your eyes are playing tricks on you. That's what administrators at Virginia's Portsmouth Public Schools want parents to believe after a mother took a photo of her child's school lunch. The mom says James Hurst Elementary served the lunch. After the photo began circulating, they admitted the lunch concerns us, but added it might not actually be as bad as it looks. Poor lighting, food preparation makes this lunch unappealing. See, he says it's in compliance with the federal lunch rules championed by First Lady Michelle Obama. And I always point out her daughters don't have to put up with it at their private school. Yep. An unspecific poll found 92.3% of respondents, 10,138 people, did not believe the lunch was acceptable. All right. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
It's the biggest flooring event of the year. Lumber Liquidators' 12th annual April sale with 5 days of unbelievable clearance deals from 29 cents. Don't miss once-in-a-lifetime prices on solid pre-finished Bellawood domestic hardwood from an incredible 99 cents. Gorgeous hand-scraped Supreme Bamboo is just $179. Exotic hardwood, laminate, and more is up to 77% off. Plus, more deals added daily in your local store and 24-month special financing for beautiful, high-quality hardwood floors for less. Get to the April sale event today. Visit LumberLiquidators.com to find a store near you.
Need a great tractor to help with your chores? Get a Kubota BX Series subcompact tractor with financing as low as 0% APR for up to 5 years during our More Power to You sales event. 0 down, 0% APR financing for terms up to 60 months on select equipment now through June 30th, 2015. Not available for rental, national accounts, governmental customers, or with some customer instant rebate offers. Financing through Kubota Credit Corporation, USA, subject to credit approval. Other exceptions may apply. For more information, call toll-free 1-888-465-8268. For more information or to find a participating dealer, visit Kubota.com.
CRN travelers, relax at the beautiful Fountain Grove Inn and Conference Center in Santa Rosa, California. Come to quality and come to luxury. Experience the newly renovated guest rooms. They're generously sized and they're decorated in the Tuscan tradition. They have great, incredible pillow-top mattresses, luxurious linens, and down-filled comforters. The Fountain Grove Inn also offers complimentary Wi-Fi and internet access. There's warm cookies and coffee every evening in the hotel lobby, and you can visit the newly remodeled Equus Restaurant and Equus Lounge with its new wine bar. It's the ideal place to relax and enjoy a glass of wine and watch our What's Cooking on Wine show on CRN with host Larry Van Alst on Wednesdays. It's the Fountain Grove Inn, Hotel, and Conference Center located in the heart of Sonoma wine country. It's easily located in Santa Rosa off the 101 Fountain Grove Parkway exit. Call 707-578-6101. That's 707-578-6101 or visit fountaingroveinns.com.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN, Chuck Wilder. Hey, let me tell you about my guest, Lowell Ponte. He is a Newsmax columnist, co-author with Craig R. Smith of Don't Bank on It, The Unsafe World of 21st Century Banking. Lowell is author of the best-selling book about global climate change, The Cooling, and for 15 years he was a roving science, technology, and health editor at Reader's Digest magazine. Lowell, hello there. How are you doing, sir?
Chuck, I'm doing well, and it's always a great honor to be on with you.
An honor to have you. Hey, and let me set this off with a story that came across, I think it was yesterday or the day before. The federal government has set an all-time record for the amount of inflation-adjusted tax revenue brought into the federal treasury. All right, and this was from October 1st, 2014 through April 14th, 2015. Very short period, all right? But the Treasury brought in a record $1,477,901,000,000. And that was just from October 1st to April 14th. Now, taxes, and along comes Lowell with more good news. The government's next tax target, your bank account. Well, thanks a lot, Lowell, and it's all your fault for bringing it. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Shoot the messenger. What can I say? As we were reminded this week, they now tax our income when we earn it. They tax our spending when we buy something with sales taxes. They tax our investment when we try to earn more on it through capital gains and other taxes. There used to be only one thing you could really do with your money that was tax-free, and that is you could put it in the bank. At least they wouldn't tax you on the act of putting it in the bank. Well, now, thanks to a new legal precedent following the bail-in that Barack Obama agreed to last November 16th in Australia when he was there for the G20 meeting, a precedent, by the way, that says you don't even own your bank account anymore, that it is now effectively an asset of the banks that government can seize to pay the bank's debts. How much better than going to the taxpayers, the government tells us, for the next bailout. They now, in Australia, starting the 1st of next year, are going to be taxing the mere fact that you have a bank account.
And then they say, wow, look what they're doing. Yes, hey, let's do it over here, okay. Hey, this article, Government's Next Tax Target, it wasn't at Newsmax, was it? It was The Buzz? Is that where you wrote that?
This was The Buzz, yeah. I mean, we scatter these around all kinds of odd places.
So I just want to tell the listeners, so you can read that at prbuzz.com, okay? www.prbuzz.com. And it's interesting at the very beginning, sort of a refresher course. Lowell says if you earn money to live on, you face income taxes nationally as well as from 41 of the 50 states. If you buy anything, you face sales taxes, all right, in all but 5 states, and some local sales taxes even in those 5.
And when we say they don't have sales taxes, most of them have special taxes. Like Alaska does not have a sales tax, but if you want to rent an RV, if you want to rent other recreational things, they have a special tax on that.
Kind of ways to get around it, huh?
Yeah, well, it's a more narrowly targeted sales tax.
Near zero bank interest, you say, has meant near zero taxes on your savings until now. Got about a minute before the break. You just can't believe what you read.
Well, they're going to get your money one way or another, but what we are now going over to, thanks to the European policies that have been set, is negative income tax. Negative income tax means not only will they pay you zero, they will pay you less than zero, meaning you will have to pay a fee to the bank to have a bank account, and government saw that and said, hey, we want a piece of that. So now government is beginning to set the precedent around the world. They're going to come in and add a tax on top of the fee. So you will pay the government and the bank for the mere act of having an account that is subject to 20 major risks and could be stolen at any moment. I mean, is it really rational to take a high risk in exchange for no reward? No, I don't think
right. When we come back from the break, I'm going to have Lowell explain this gasoline taxes for highway funds, sleight of hand, hanky-panky. Oh, he's got the answers. Lowell Ponte. He is co-author of the book, pardon me, Don't Bank on It, The Unsafe World of 21st Century Banking. And we're going to tell you a little later on, I think, how you can get a copy of that book. And you don't want to miss that. Lowell Ponte, coming right back.
This is the Mike Huckabee Report for Friday. Hillary Clinton's listening tour of Iowa is running into an unexpected problem. She seems to be having trouble finding any everyday Americans to listen to. Details next.
Looking forward to your tax refund? Well, so are identity thieves who steal refunds by filing fraudulent tax returns. Last year alone, they stole more than an estimated $5 billion from hardworking Americans just like you. Once an identity thief gets a hold of your tax forms, watch out. They know that virtually all the information they need to steal your identity and even your life savings is right there. Help protect yourself with LifeLock Ultimate Plus. LifeLock Ultimate Plus provides protection for your Social Security number, bank accounts, investments, even the equity in your home. And while no one can stop all identity theft and nobody can monitor every single business, LifeLock Ultimate Plus provides their most comprehensive identity theft protection available. If you're filing taxes this year, especially if you're filing online, do what I did and get LifeLock Ultimate Plus. Visit LifeLock.com/Huckabee now or call and use promo code Huckabee to save 10% on your LifeLock Ultimate Plus membership. Call 1-800-240-LOCK, 800-240-LOCK, 800-240-LOCK.
Hillary Clinton launched her campaign with a video depicting ordinary Americans, but the media discovered that at least 3 were connected to Democratic politics. One was even a former campaign manager for Wendy Davis in Texas. Then at Hillary's first campaign photo op at a coffee shop, the ordinary Iowans she spoke with were revealed to include the president of the University of Iowa College Democrats, a Planned Parenthood employee, and a former Obama campaign intern. Now, I've been to Iowa quite often, but I've never noticed the state was suffering from a shortage of Iowans. The media have been jokingly calling Mrs. Clinton's campaign bus the Scooby van after the Mystery Machine in Scooby-Doo cartoons. Maybe we need Scooby and the gang to solve the mystery of where all the everyday Iowans went. The Veterans Administration has long been criticized for failing to deliver quality care and benefits in a timely manner. Then a few years ago, the agency was engulfed in scandal when we learned that veterans were actually dying while waiting on waiting lists for care, while agency officials were falsifying records to cover it up. You'd think after something that outrageous, the VA would have been scared straight, especially after President Obama ordered them to reduce the backlog of veterans' benefit claims. But it seems all that some people learned from the scandal was that faking records works. The VA Inspector General just revealed the existence of an internal VA memo that contains guidelines requiring staffers to adjust the dates on unadjudicated claims in order to reflect the current date. That meant staffers could just pull unfiled claims that were up to a year old, change the date on them to today, and voila, they're no longer backlogged. They found this at the Philadelphia VA, but they doubt it's confined to there. Jeff Miller, the chairman of the House Committee on Veteran Affairs, called the VA report as bleak as it gets, full of systemic malfeasance and deliberate data manipulation. Hearings begin next week. But hearings aren't enough. No matter what else Congress wants, there is no higher priority than providing timely, top-quality care for the men and women who risk their lives and limbs to protect our freedom. Our military people don't lie about their wounds, and the VA needs to stop lying about their health care. And finally, congratulations to Adam and Danielle Busby of Houston, Texas. They just welcomed the first set of all-female quintuplets ever born in the U.S., and the first quintuplet girls born anywhere since 1969. Danielle gave thanks to God and to the team at Women's Hospital of Texas, where it took over a dozen medical workers to deliver them all. That's also about the size of the team they're going to need to change diapers. If you'd like to learn more and see some pretty unique baby pictures, check out the Busby's blog. It's a buzzworld.com. And this is the Mike Huckabee Report.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN, Chuck Wilder, with my guest Lowell Ponte, Newsmax columnist, co-author with Craig R. Smith of the book, Don't Bank on It, The Unsafe World of 21st Century Banking. And we are discussing the article he wrote, The Next Tax, Your Bank Account. Boy, these guys just don't leave us alone, do they? And it's like, I know we have different watchdogs out there that try to bring it to the attention, but I think, Lowell, that even whenever you find out all the corruption that's going on, it still takes the Congress critters to take care of it, doesn't it?
Well, I'm not even sure I trust the Congress critters, Chuck. For example, we talk about Social Security, which so many of us have come to depend on. Well, Social Security had $2.66 trillion looted from its trust fund by the politicians and just spent on whatever they wanted. Oh, but they said it wasn't really looted because they left IOUs in the vault.
To be paid for by our grandchildren, right?
Yeah, what an IOU means is somebody else has to now be taxed to pay for that money all over again. Under Obamacare, remember Obama also looted $735 billion, that is $735 billion, transferred from Medicare to take care or to help fund Obamacare. That's a total of about $3.4 trillion looted from Social Security and Medicare from your retirement and mine to go for other programs the politicians wanted. And, of course, when you talk about gas taxes, you mentioned that when we were going to the break, that's just another example of the government creating a trust fund, trust meaning it's supposed to be there securely, that they now just use as their personal piggy bank. And they just go in and raid it and leave IOUs that somebody else then has to pay. By the way, speaking of motor vehicles,
let me throw something in here real quick, Lowell. You know, on the highway funds, and you always hear the president. This is from day one when he's running, and he's running again, trying to make a point. State of the Union. It's always about that we need more money for structure, highway structures. Yeah, and then I look at your Infrastructure, yeah. And I look at your report. You had the money, but you shifted it elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, they like it for infrastructure. What they always do at a local level or a state level is they will take away, or they will want the money, and so they will say, we have to have more taxes, or we'll have to close down the fire department, the police department, and the public library. Well, no, the politicians could just stop driving in their limousines to save money, but somehow they never do that.
Mm-hmm. I had a news story today. I don't know if you heard it or not, but the Air Force is going to be shutting down Fort Bragg, North Carolina's Army Airborne Special Operation Forces. And they said, we're going to save $116 million by shutting this down. Very important military unit. $116 million. And I said, that's about 1/3 of a president's trip on Air Force One when he flies off to these other countries.
Or when he and Michelle take separate planes to vacation in Hawaii. Yes.
$116 million.
But you have to understand, the president is now in the process of shutting down almost everything in our military. I mean, he has closed down the modernization of our nuclear weapons. He has shut off the assembly line that was making our cruise missiles.
And the tanks.
So we're basically going to be utterly disarmed as a country in another 2 or 3 years, just because of what he's already turned off. And this, of course, is not a coincidence. But as to taxes, one of the fascinating things I've realized, on April 15th, we purportedly knew how much tax we were paying, but in fact, no one listening to us right now, not a man, not a woman, knows how much tax you really pay. And the reason for that is a huge amount of the tax you pay is hidden. It is indirect tax. The politicians learned long ago that the most cunning thing they can do is either create a trust fund and then loot it for something you really do want, or they tax business. Most people don't realize how heavy the taxes on American business are. It averages in this country, between state, federal, and local taxes, 46.3% of everything a company makes gets taxed away. That's roughly half. Yeah. But they don't really pay the tax, of course. They just turn around and add it to the cost of what they sell you and me. So we wind up paying the tax. And then the same politicians who tax business dare to get up on a soapbox and say, look at those greedy capitalists. Look how much they're charging you for what they're selling. And I understand that. I mean, half the cost of a new car is really taxes being passed on to you and me. But they don't tell us that. They make you think it's the capitalist imposing that on you, when in fact the politicians are using the capitalists as the tax collectors.
You know, talking about greed and passing the blame, a story came out that the House voted yesterday to repeal the federal tax on estates. And this is inheritance. They call it the death tax, right?
It'll never be allowed to pass. Obama will block it.
Well, they also say the Democrats say the tax giveaway is to the rich, and the bill now goes to the Senate, where the Democrats appear to have enough votes to block it. Exactly what you were just describing.
Well, if they didn't, Obama would veto it. You see, years ago I did a piece in the Wall Street Journal, and my argument was this. The Democrats were saying we have to further extend the hate crime laws to make it a crime not only to hate people on their based on their religion or their race, but also on their sexual preference or their sexual orientation. And I wrote a column in the Wall Street Journal saying, well, I think Republicans should agree with this on one condition. Republicans should say, we will agree to what you add to the hate laws if you will add one little thing for us, and that is hate based on class. That's something that the liberals never do. In other words, if you stand up and say, we need to hate the rich, that is also a hate crime.
Hate crime.
Under that change. Now, that's a kind of hate that not only do Democrats approve, if they were not allowed to wage class warfare, the Democrats and the labor unions would be out of business overnight. That's their bread and butter. That would put half their politicians and all their speechwriters out of business instantly.
An interesting thing is, on that hate crime bill that passed, they had to attach it to the defense bill. Boy, that upset me to no end. That's the only way they could get it through, I think.
Well, politics is the art of saying, I'll vote for your lousy piece of legislation if you'll vote for my lousy piece of legislation.
Hey, would you explain, I know you were talking about Australia when we first came on, and this G20 economic powers, global economic. Would you explain to the listeners about bail-in? Because you write quite a bit about this in this article.
Yeah, and we talk about it in great detail in our book, Don't Bank on It, which we'd be happy to give people absolutely free and post-paid if they're interested.
And I'll tell you what, before you go any further, let's give out that 800 number so they can get ready to write it down later, too.
Sure. Well, this will explain to you all the details of this, and we'll document it and give you links to articles and so on. 800-630-1494 is the number. That's 1-800-630-1494. Or, as you know, I like to say, think of Columbus sailing the ocean blue in 1492, but not quite. It's 1-800-630-1494.
He didn't get a loan, so he had to go 2 years later. Yeah.
Yeah, the bail-in principle was first articulated in a joint memo between our Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, kind of a joke institution because it only has enough resources at most to cover 1 out of every $14 in bank deposits they insure. They can't really cover anything in a crisis. They can only cover little banks going bankrupt. If one of the big five went bankrupt, they'd be helpless. They couldn't do a thing to save that. So the FDIC and the Bank of England issued a memo December 2012 in which they affirmed the idea that next time we won't go to the taxpayers to bail out banks. We will first seize all of the bank's assets, and they defined the bank's assets to include the bank deposits, which is to say your deposits in the bank. A few months later, March 2013, people woke up one day on the Mediterranean island of Cyprus. They're part of the Eurozone, part of the people who use the euro currency, to find that their banks were locked, their ATMs were shut off, their credit cards could not be used, that the government had just stepped in, and in order to cover debts of the two main banks there, had just seized everybody's bank account.
And this is called...
take the money to pay for all that out of the bank accounts.
And this is called bail-ins, and there is a higher-up figure in the United States that's behind that 100%, and that would be President Obama?
Yeah, who at the G20, and understand when you hear the G20, these are the world's financial powers, including the central banks. The G20 controls 85% of all the world's trade and financial transactions. That's who the G20 is. And at their meeting in Brisbane, Australia, November 16th, 2014, a day that will live in infamy, President Barack Obama was there, and he formally agreed to the bail-in principle by the world's major financial institutions, which means we now have a legal basis for the banks forever simply seizing people's bank accounts. This has already happened to people's retirement accounts in a dozen countries. We're just now finishing a major white paper on this, showing the different tactics they may use to seize your retirement accounts, your IRAs, your 401ks, when it becomes opportune for Mr. Obama to do it. But they've been openly planning that up until 2010 when the Republicans took over Congress. Then Obama got very quiet about it, but none of the plans have been burned or torn up. They're still there to do what they did in Argentina, for example, in 2008. In Argentina, people woke up one morning to find all their retirement accounts had been drained of money, and in place of that money was an equal value, quote-unquote, of Argentine government bonds. Sounds fair until you realize that that's the face value of Argentine bonds. The real market value is only about 27 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
If you had to actually sell the government. In other words, they stole about 3/4 of everyone's retirement account overnight in Argentina by that tactic. And yet they could say, well, we didn't rob you. We just traded your actual money for government bonds of a certain kind. The plan here basically is likely to be they will give you what amounts to an annuity based on government bonds. However, you won't be able to withdraw it in a lump sum. You might not be able to pass it on to your children anymore. It will become like Social Security, too. And by the way, you know one of the things that offended me most, Chuck? Remember that old Beatles song, Taxman?
Yeah.
If you drive a car, I will tax the street. If you try to walk, I will tax your feet. because I'm the tax man and you're working for no one but me.
Mm-hmm.
When Social Security was first founded, it was not taxed. After all, it had been a tax in the first place. The government took the money away from you and then supposedly was giving you back your own money in Social Security. Well, now, under Obama, they have made it impossible for elderly people to retire, at least millions of them, like me, who just, we'll have to keep working until we drop in harness, until we die, still at a job. But that means we're still being taxed constantly. And now, for most working people who are full-time workers, 85% of your Social Security is being taxed. That means the government taxed you once to get the money, and now when they quote-unquote give it back to you, they claw that back with more taxes.
You know, so much of this stuff goes over my head. But we're talking about the bail-in, all right, and what they did in Argentina, for example, and took it all out and then gave them, you said 27 cents on the dollar, I think.
About 27 cents on the dollar.
What was their excuse? Was it an emergency? The government had to have it real quick to go out and fight at the Falkland Islands, or what in the world? What kind of excuse do they have?
Remember, they have a progressive fascist government.
So they don't need an excuse.
All progressive governments are fascist, including Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama's. And so they would say, no, we were doing it to give people safety and security. That you weren't secure enough having it in currency. That you needed to have it instead in a really protected form like government bonds, which have virtually none of the even security of money. In Argentina, they've had fun because everyone's tried to live in U.S. dollars, and they've done everything they can to criminalize the dollar down there because they want people trapped in their own currency, which they can print as much of as they want. But, of course, you have to claw back a lot of that money, or the currency would simply burn up from inflation. You have to limit its ability to circulate, and they do that by taxing it back away from people, the way they do here. Oh, by the way, that Beatles song I mentioned, they also have that amazing lyric that we all thought was a metaphor. Here's one for you, 19 for me, says the taxman. That sounds crazy. Government taking 19 out of every $20 you earn. But that was not fantasy. That was not a metaphor. At the time, England had a special tax on the rich, and the Beatles literally were paying a 95% tax rate on what they earned, which is literally 19 for the government for every $1 you get to keep out of your earnings.
And this was in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
So it's got to be worse now.
Well, it varied. They had Margaret Thatcher, which was a great miraculous change for them. Otherwise, it would still be that way in England. But the point is, this is what government wants. Government ultimately wants you and me to be totally dependent on it. They want to be able to buy our votes. They want to be able to control all the money all the time. There is even a theory called modern monetary theory that a lot of politicians use that assumes all money inherently belongs to the government. And so you might say, would we be able to have our own money that was not government? Oh, no, that will not be permitted. That's been illegal here since 1856.
And you always wonder why they got rid of, silver and gold standards. Lowell, we got to take a break. Lowell Ponte, Newsmax columnist, co-author of Don't Bank on It. And I noticed there's a mention of a free white paper a couple of times in this article. When we come back, I want to find out exactly what that is. And I want to remind you, the listener, that if you want an absolutely free copy of the book, no obligation, you're not held to anything, just give them a toll-free call, 1-800-630-1494, 800-630-1494. And the website, don'tbankonitbook.com, newsmax.com, don'tbankonitbook.com. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, now is the season to be thinking about your roof, because all it takes is one storm to turn a small roof problem into a major leak. If it's time for a new roof, call Sears at 888-465-9720. You can save $500 if you call right now. Sears licensed, fully insured contractors can get your roofing job done right. Just call 888-465-9720. Sears has a variety of shingles and styles that are built for long-lasting performance, and you'll save $500 if you call now. So call Sears for a free in-home consultation at 888-465-9720. Hurry, offer ends soon. Not available in all areas. Installation provided by Sears authorized licensed contractors. License information available upon request. That's Sears Roofing. Call right now and save $500. Call 888-465-9720. 888-465-9720. Call Sears now and get that roof repaired. Call 888-465-9720.
Did you know that with a bachelor's degree, on average, you can make almost twice as much over a lifetime than a person with just a high school diploma? Yes! According to the U.S. Census Bureau, you can make almost twice as much. Going back to college is now easier than ever. There are select online colleges that provide laptops to their students. In fact, there are thousands of college programs on your laptop. You can go to college anywhere and everywhere right from a laptop. Call My College Laptop and you can find hundreds of programs from accredited colleges and universities nationwide. Start a new career in law enforcement, business, information technology, healthcare, and hundreds of others. Call My College Laptop to find an online college that will provide you with a laptop. In no time at all, you can double your earning potential. Double your earning potential. Call now. 1-800-582-7531. That's 800-582-7531. 800-582-7531.
Geico Motorcycle presents Reflections from the Road.
Let me tell you, the road is a much more relaxing place since I switched to Geico Motorcycle Insurance and started saving money. With that taken care of, now I can think about deep, important things. Like how come it's a pair of pants when there's only one of them? A real brain teaser. But hey, at least saving money with Geico Motorcycle is as easy as pie. What does that mean anyway?
Geico Motorcycle Insurance. See how much you could save.
Oh, CRN listeners, this is Michael Horn, inviting you to join me and my co-host, Sommelier Nicole Nielsen from Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, as we present What's Cooking on Wine. Find out about the latest trends in wine, great food, spirits, and a whole lot more. It's What's Cooking on Wine, done live at 6 o'clock Monday nights at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in Pasadena, California, and then the replays throughout the weekend right here on CRN. So if you love wine and you love great food, it's What's Cooking on Wine right here on CRN.
Everybody's talking at me.
My guest, Lowell Ponte, Newsmax columnist, co-author with Craig R. Smith. Don't bank on it. The Unsafe World of 21st Century Banking. And in his article, he says a circular cage is being built through which you will be taxed when you earn your money, spend your money, invest your money, and possibly very soon save your money. And then I see here, Lowell, and a couple of times you mentioned this white paper that'll show you how to escape this tax cage. Is that a special link in the book or something?
Oh, well, when you call to get the free book, and we pay for the postage and everything. I mean, you have nothing to lose by getting the book. Just say you want the Don't Bank on It book and you want the G20 white paper. It updates the book to show what happened at the G20 down in Australia, documents that for you. The book has about 27 pages of documentation, and it's altogether a 253-page book, so it's just jammed with information. But it's not dull. It reads like a novel. It will literally boggle your mind to see just how many ways the government has its hand in your pocket and how much your bank accounts are at risk, the moral of which is you need to get your big savings. I mean, you can keep a bank account to pay your utility bills and so on, checks. But for goodness sake, get your life savings into something other than a bank, because the banks have already been nationalized by the government, in effect. And
Are
get
we
it
talking,
out of anything the government can print in a printing press in Washington, D.C., like money. I mean, they can make your dollar worthless overnight just by printing 20 trillion more of them. And they're quite
when you say get it into something safer, we're not talking about your mattress, are we?
Well, we're talking about putting it in. No, I mean, if you put dollar bills in your mattress, they can still steal the dollar bills by devaluating them, by printing them.
Or they'll come and get you because you tore that little tag off the mattress. That says "Do not remove."
I'm like you. I ponder these deep mysteries, like that commercial you played did. For example, why is Hillary Clinton going around in a van, a black van that looks like Darth Vader's helmet?
Yeah, and Scooby-Doo's van.
What subconscious message is she really sending about her coming presidency? So I hope people will get the free book and the free white paper. Just ask for both of them when you call 800-630-1494. You'll just leave a message. They'll get back to you. They'll find out if you'd rather have the book in electronic form or paper or so on. This is our 5th in a series of 12 books that we're doing. This way we can let you know when the next books are coming out, too. Why do we not charge for them? Because my co-author doesn't need the money. He doesn't need to sell a few books. We're just trying to save the Republic for our children.
Your co-author, Craig R. Smith's got a real thick mattress. Okay.
He does. I mean, it's one of those mattresses several miles high. So we don't need to worry about selling the book, and you don't need to worry about paying for one. We're just arming you with information that you will find tremendously interesting and valuable. So call 800-630-1494. Won't cost you a penny. As I say, we'll pay for the shipping and everything. But it is a mind-boggling piece of information, especially if you're liberals.
Also, listener, don't forget when you ask for the free book, tell them you also want that G20 white paper report. Yep. They'll send that along. Interesting thing here. We're running out of time, but yesterday Hillary, I guess, was in Iowa and doing like a get together there, confiscated all the cell phones and cameras. None were allowed anywhere. Boy, you talk about transparency. She's really on top of it already, isn't she?
And she will not answer a single question, and the people she talks to, as has been true through her whole political career, hand-picked Democrat operatives. She does not talk to ordinary people like you or me. We might ask her a pressing question.
I'll send you an email of TMZ trying to talk to her in the airport. Pretty interesting. Hey, all out of time, Lowell Ponte. He is the co-author, Craig R. Smith. Don't Bank on It, The Unsafe World of 21st Century Banking. And he writes for Newsmax.com, Don'tBankOnItBook.com. And just call that toll-free number and get it absolutely free. 800-630-1494. Stay cool, Lowell. Talk to you later.
Chuck, God bless you. God bless America.
God bless you. J.B. Williams, founder of Patriots Union. He's coming up next.
Which was most appropriate because that was your theme.
Are you tired of hearing your favorite talk radio show sound like this? What if you could hear your favorite shows in crystal clear, high-definition digital sound? Well, with CRN Digital Talk Radio's 6 channels of high-definition radio, you can now hear all of your favorite hosts like you've never heard them before in CRN HD. The difference is amazing. Catch your favorite political hosts like Dennis Prager, Tom Hartman, Barry